What's up, Internet? This is Hourglass Gaming, and for today's video I want to talk about Evolve and how to win as the Goliath. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Evolve Big Alpha started yesterday on the Xbox One, and so I've been playing a lot of that. And something that I noticed while playing is that the monster almost always loses. Evolve is a really difficult game as the monster. You really need to be on it. And even if you do everything right, it's still possible that you're going to lose. So I wanted to make a video about details on how to succeed as the monster. So as a kind of introduction to the Goliath, the first time you jump into a class, a little introductory clip plays. So I'm going to let that play, and that'll kind of give us an overview of what the Goliath is like.
Goliath is a physical brute with powerful melee abilities. Use the smell ability to highlight nearby hunters and wildlife. Melee attacks are very effective at close range. Eat to gain armor, and evolve. Goliath can climb almost any surface. Leap to travel faster. The leap ability recharges over time and will leap towards the crosshair's location. A well-placed rock throw delivers a crushing blow from a distance. The leap smash is effective against one target or many. Fire breath is ideal for damaging multiple targets at once. Charge attack can close the distance in combat or aid escape.
Alright, so with that out of the way, the key mechanic in Evolve is the evolution of the monster. You start at stage 1, and then you can evolve to stage 2, and then to stage 3. Each time you evolve, you get a larger health pool and a larger armor pool, and you get more points to put on abilities. So in the class overview, they went over the abilities that you have. You have 4 abilities, and you start the game with 3 points. So you can pick one of 3 abilities, or you can put all 3 points in one ability if you want that to be really powerful to start off. I don't recommend it, but you could. And then as you evolve, you get 3 points each time you evolve. So you can level up the 3 abilities that you started with all the way, or you can branch into a 4th ability and have a wider range of abilities but be a little less powerful in each of them. Once you reach stage 3, you'll be able to damage the power relay, which is one of the ways to win the game as the monster. The other way to win the game is to kill all of the hunters. Winning the game as the monster is all about evading the hunters. You start the game with a brief head start, and you need to hustle. As soon as you gain control of your character, you really need to book it, because the hunters are right on your tail and they can follow your tracks. So they're going to be on your trail very quickly, and so you need to use that time to get as far ahead of them as possible. The hunters outnumber you, and they have a lot of tools at their disposal to fight you as a team, and they start the game as powerful as they'll ever be, whereas you start the game as weak as you'll ever be. So you need to put as much distance between yourself as possible. And with that in mind, I want to talk about which abilities to choose. And so from the 4 that the Goliath has available, I think the charge attack is the absolute most important one. And the reason for this is not actually necessarily because of the benefits that it gives you in combat. It's actually because it gives you a speed boost. So you can use the charge attack outside of combat just to run faster, which means that you can move through the world more quickly and put more distance between yourself and the hunters. It's also a really effective tool to get into and out of combat. So I think that is the #1 ability that you have to go with as the Goliath. For the other abilities, I think it's sort of up to personal preference. I recommend starting with Fire Breath and Leap Smash. These 3 abilities give you a solid close combat build, which will allow you to engage multiple targets. As you evolve, I have spent most of my points just leveling those up. You can branch out into the rock throw if you want. This will give you some ranged power. However, I don't like the rock throw very much. The issue with it is that as you lift the rock to throw at your enemies, you're forced to stay stationary, and you become a really easy target for the hunters. And they can still dodge the rock because they can then anticipate that you're about to throw it at them. So I prefer using my points to boost other abilities. So with abilities selected, let's talk briefly about perks. You get 1 perk at the start of the game which will increase some aspect of your monster. One increases the climb speed, another one increases the range of your sniff ability. My recommendation is that you use the perk which increases the rate at which you eat prey. This will allow you to eat animals faster, which means you'll be able to cover more ground, which means you'll be able to evade the hunters and evolve faster. Now, eating prey is a key mechanic in Evolve, and it's the key to how you get armor and progress through the evolution stages. So as the monster, your health does not regenerate. So any hits you take are losses that you're not going to recoup. You can, however, cover this up with armor, which is represented by the blue bar above your health bar. And armor can be regained or added by eating local wildlife. Some wildlife is easy to kill, while others are more difficult. So far, I found success avoiding fights with pack animals and big animals because they tend to slow you down. If you get embroiled in a fight with a pack, then it tends to take a really long time, and for the entire time that you're fighting that pack, the hunters are getting closer and closer to finding you. So I prefer to avoid that. Big animals are fairly easy to kill, but I think they're a more valuable resource in fighting hunters than as something to eat. I prefer to run past large animals so that the trail of my footsteps leads the hunters past them. And hopefully someone will make a mistake and the big animal will attack them. And then there's a chance that the big animal will kill one, or that it'll just damage them, and it will slow them down while they fight it. Also, if the hunters catch up to you, fighting in the presence of a big animal can be a real help. In this video, in one of the fights, I'm close to one of the big sloth monsters, and I'm able to put that between me and the hunters and single out one of the hunters for a couple seconds while the rest of the team deals with the big sloth monster. So that can be an effective tool to kind of distract the hunters. Also, fighting in the presence of small animals, any distraction that you can throw in the hunter's way will go to your benefit. So I think fighting in the presence of wildlife is a really good idea. Another thing to keep in mind when you're attacking the local wildlife is that you can and should use your abilities to kill them. I, for a long time, was weary of using my abilities because I didn't want them to be on cooldown if the hunters attacked me. But as long as you're moving quickly, the hunters aren't going to catch up to you. And so in order to move faster, you should be using your abilities because that will allow you, again, to kill the wildlife faster, eat them faster, and then move on before the hunters catch up to you. And the cooldowns for the abilities aren't that long, so even if the hunters do catch up to you right after you use your flame breath to torch a pack of animals, it's not going to be too much of a hindrance. And I think the benefit outweighs the potential cost. The last thing I want to talk about in this guide to success with the Goliath is target priority and focus. These are the most important things to the success of the monster. Even at stage 3, the hunters are still extremely powerful if played properly. And I have had numerous games where the monster has made it to stage 3, but the hunters have still won. In terms of target priority, the medic is your absolute highest priority. If you don't down the medic, then they'll be able to continually heal their allies, which makes every attack you do less effective. So if you hit someone and then that damage gets healed, then the time you spent hitting them was wasted. So you need to down the medic first. And once you down the medic, you're in a much stronger position because every hit that you put on hunters cannot be healed. After the medic, I recommend eating the support player. The reason behind this is that the support player, if they're playing Hank, has a shield that can protect any other teammate, but they can't protect themselves. So if you attack someone else, then there's a possibility that the support player is going to shield that other target. But if you attack the support, then they're on their own, they're not going to get shielded, and you know your attacks are hitting. Third, I would go for the assault. They do the most damage of any of the hunters, so it's important to take them down quickly, though they have an invulnerability shield that they can put up. If they do put the shield up, then you need to quickly switch targets to someone else until that shield goes down, because they're not going to take any damage while that shield is up. I think the lowest priority is the Trapper. These characters have disabling abilities to use against the monster, but I think in general they contribute the least to the hunter's combat effectiveness, so they're my lowest target priority. More important than priority, however, is focus. Once you pick a target, you really need to stick with it. Even if you have potentially picked the wrong one, you still need to focus that person down and get them out of the fight. The hunters aren't too difficult to kill, but if you get distracted and keep switching hunters, then you're not going to do any consistent damage because the medic will be able to heal them while you're attacking someone else. So if you continually switch targets, you're not going to remove anyone from the fight and they're going to keep hitting you. If you pick one person and eat them, then they're out of the fight and you don't need to worry about their abilities or the damage that they're going to do to you. You've just removed them from the game and you're one step closer to winning. So even if you pick the trapper as your first target and you start eating him, keep doing it until they're dead, because if you realize, oh, the medic's still up, I need to attack him, and then you switch before you've killed the trapper, then you've wasted that time and the trapper's still going to be up and you've put yourself at a disadvantage. The hunters outnumber you in Evolve, and so you need to narrow the margin between you and them as fast as possible in order to gain the advantage, because you're more powerful than any one of the hunters, but as a team, they outpower you a lot. That, I think, is the most important thing, because you will get caught. If you make a mistake, or if the hunters get lucky, or if the hunters anticipate your path based on the evidence that they have, then it's possible that you'll get caught before you're at stage 3. And so even fighting at the disadvantage of being in stage 1 or 2, that target priority and focus can really give you an advantage. Whereas if you don't have those, then you're simply going to die. That's my guide on the Goliath. I hope you are able to use it to your benefit. I think playing as the Goliath is a lot of fun, even though you're going to lose most of the time, and there's a pretty steep learning curve. It's a great game. It's kind of stressful just because you're always running and it's like, oh, the hunters are catching up, even though you don't actually know where they are. They might be on the other side of the map and you're still afraid they're about to round the corner and catch you. But it's difficult. And so I think hopefully this guide will help people in kind of streamlining how to play the Goliath and how to have success with it. So that's about all for this guide. The gameplay is going to continue for a bit, but I do win this game, and I think the final fight is pretty good, so I recommend sticking around for it. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see more gameplay and commentary, don't forget to like and subscribe. Most of all, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.